Who would win in a death match between the Pillsbury Doughboy and Betty Crocker? We'll only tackle this question in the abstract, but by the end, we'll tell you which store-bought brownie is the ooey gooey best. Look, we know that Betty Crocker products are a staple in many household pantries, but we have bad news about the Betty Crocker Original Supreme Brownie Mix. It's not good. Once you bake these brownies up, you'll notice that they're almost completely tasteless. It tastes like they went light on the chocolate. When there are so many other boxed brownie mixes available that taste amazing, there's no good reason for you to pick this stuff up. We know that this is a slightly more affordable option than some of the more gourmet selections on this list, but you can find other, more delicious brownie mixes for cheap if you just know what you're looking for. We love Trader Joe's, but their gluten-free chocolate chip brownie mix let us down big time.
Is this the famous brownie? How old is this thing?
Oh, super old. But I kept it in the freezer, so it's cool. And I only poured beer on it a couple times.
The chocolate chips are definitely a nice touch that sets these brownies apart from the other, more boring options. But that's where the good stuff ends, because the rest of this brownie is so dry. Don't worry too much though. If you're gluten-free and want to pick up a delicious dessert that everyone will love, Trader Joe's is one of the best places to be. Look for their other gluten-free products, and you'll still go home satisfied. If you're like us, when you bite into a brownie, you're expecting something that's rich, chocolatey, and intense in flavor. That's part of the joy of the brownie eating experience. So it shouldn't come as any surprise that the Duncan Hines milk chocolate brownie mix is not something that we would suggest. There are two main problems when it comes to these brownies. First of all, there's the fact that they're made with milk chocolate, so they don't have much richness to them. The second problem all comes down to the texture. When these brownies first come out of the oven, they'll be nice and gooey. However, it won't take long for them to firm up and become hard and even sort of brittle. They're not the worst of the bunch, but we definitely wouldn't go out of our way to pick them up. If you find yourself in the organic aisle of your local grocery store a lot, then the Annie's homegrown brand is going to sound familiar to you. However, as much as you may like Annie's mac and cheese though, that doesn't mean that you're going to want to pick up a box of Annie's double chocolate brownie mix. The main issue with these brownies is the fact that the texture is almost chalky. They'll get quite dry while they're baking in the oven, and that leaves you with a strange, grainy texture once you take them out. The flavor itself is good. The chocolate tastes quite intense, which we love, but the texture really throws it off for us. If you're looking for a slightly better gluten-free baking mix, you shouldn't look any further than Simple Mills Almond Flour Brownie Baking Mix. We like that they use almond flour here, as it tastes a bit better than some of the other replacement flours available out there. These brownies are on the dry side, as the almond flour results in a different texture than what you would expect from a traditional brownie. It doesn't necessarily taste bad, but it has us missing that moistness that we're used to in other brownie mixes. But the main drawback when it comes to this brownie mix is the fact that it's so expensive. We get it, sometimes you have to pay a premium for gluten-free foods. If you really need a quick and easy brownie mix and you happen to pass this one in the store, go for it. Now, here's something totally different for you. Most of the time, you can expect much of the same from pretty much every box of brownie mix you buy. Though the texture and flavor might change slightly, a brownie is a brownie. That is, until you try Pillsbury's Fudge Supreme Cheesecake Swirl Brownie Mix. This brownie mix is totally different, and we're here for it. We thought that this would be the best on the list by far, but what we didn't initially realize is the fact that the cheesecake swirl on top is exceedingly sweet. We would have preferred the flavors to be a bit more subtle, but that's just not what we got. It's time to go back to the basics with the Jiffy Fudge Brownie Mix. They're pretty moist, and they're made out of real cocoa, but they aren't as moist or as dark and intense as some of the other brownie mixes here. While we probably wouldn't go out of our way to pick this box up from the store, you're not going to be disappointed if this is all you can find. Just because you want to eat a brownie doesn't mean you're okay with putting just whatever into your body. If you're looking for an option that at least seems healthier, then you may want to look into Foodstirs Organic Chocolate Lovers Brownie Mix. This junk-free bakery offers brownies that contain less sugar than regular brownie box mixes and use all organic ingredients. What's not to love about that?
Foodstirs. It's dessert a la super easy. All organic, no GMOs, so many OMGs.
And while you might assume that would lead to less than delicious desserts, that's just not the case. They taste just as good as your favorite less healthy brands. The only downside here, a box of this stuff is not necessarily cheap. It's definitely more expensive than your average box of brownie mix. It might be okay for some people to splurge a bit on their brownie ingredients, but others aren't going to want to pay a premium just to get the organic stuff. In our opinion, it's worth it. Just keep in mind that depending on your grocery store, you may not be able to easily find this brand in the baking aisle. Speaking of expensive baking mixes, here's another one that's not too cheap. The King Arthur Baking Company All-American Fudge Brownie Mix. If you know anything about this brand, then you know it's celebrated for making some of the best boxed products on the market right now. That's why we don't mind spending a little extra cash for such a delicious mix. Pick this stuff up and put it in the oven, and in no time at all, you're going to have rich, fudgy brownies that you're not going to want to share with anyone. The part of these brownies we like the best is the fact that they develop that nice flaky crust on top. It adds just a little bit of texture that makes every bite even more enjoyable. And since the rest of the brownie turns out nice and moist, it'll make you want to keep going back for more. If you can find this brownie mix at a store near you, you should pick some up ASAP. Bake it up and thank us later. Vegan? Then you know how difficult it can be to find baking mixes that meet the stipulations of your diet. These days, it seems hard to find food products that don't have animal products contained in them somehow. So, if you're trying to find good vegan baking products, you're in luck when it comes to Miss Jones Baking Company Everyday Delicious Double Chocolate Brownie Mix. While the recipe does call for eggs, you can substitute those eggs with any appropriate vegan replacement. The end result is an incredibly simple and easy brownie recipe that will wow your family and friends. Despite the lack of animal products, you're going to get a gooey brownie that packs a ton of flavor. We love that these brownies are incredibly dense. And while many brownies are too messy and flaky, you're not going to have that problem with this brand. Plus, compared to other more niche brownie mix brands, this one isn't going to do quite the same damage to your wallet. Who said you had to choose between your workout routine and a delicious fudgy brownie? Certainly not Kodiak cakes, that's for sure. That's why you should find the Kodiak Cakes protein-packed brownie mix the next chance you get. First of all, you're going to love the ingredients list on this product. It's filled with good-for-you ingredients that you can actually pronounce. In fact, these brownies are even made with whole grains, so you can feel good about what you're putting into your body. Plus, they're packed with protein, so they'll give you the energy you need to make it through your day, whatever you have planned. Is that an excuse to eat one of these bad boys on your way to the gym? Absolutely. Kodiak Cakes make a lot of different products, but we think that this brownie mix has to be one of their best. Give it a try if you've tasted their other products before and loved them just as much as we did. Are you surprised that the Ghirardelli Chocolate Supreme Brownie Mix ended up taking the cake when it comes to this brownie mix ranking? We certainly weren't.
You think you deserve the brownie?
Well, a shot at it at least, huh?
All right, well, you'll have to prove it. I mean, this is a very, very good brownie, and I'm going to fight for it.
Ghirardelli has a reputation to uphold when it comes to everything chocolate, and they did just that with this incredible baking mix. These are the gooeyest, most delicious brownies from a box you'll ever taste, and we can't even begin to understand how they get so moist. They actually taste homemade, and if we hadn't made them ourselves straight from the box, we wouldn't have known the difference. The box of brownie mix also includes chocolate syrup, so you can take an already indulgent treat and elevate it to a whole new level. And while some of these brands are on the more expensive side, you're not going to pay a fortune for this Ghirardelli product. So why haven't you added this stuff to your cart yet? Order it online or find it in the store. Moral of the story is, you absolutely have to try this brownie mix. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite brands are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.